Good evening. It's Tuesday night, and once again, we are here with Ben Stowe on Tuesday night. Good evening, Ben.
Good evening, John.
Now, Ben, this doesn't look like a typical night as far as your background. Where are you at tonight?
Well, I'm hanging out in our production warehouse right now, and I'm going to get my hands dirty.
Nice, nice. Well, we got some cool stuff we'll be talking about tonight, but let's kind of kick it off with our shirt of the week, because we always like to talk about what kind of a techie, geeky shirt you've got. So what do you got for us tonight?
All right. Well, warning: viewer discretion is advised. I have to show you my backside.
What do you got there?
Kids, you should go to bed now.
Yes, I know all those little. I know what all those little knobs do. Ah, yes. Something that most of us who you can relate to that when a drunk person. What do you do with all that?
This one was sent to me by a friend of mine who actually he's a very good front of house engineer, and we both got a pretty good chuckle over it. So
very nice.
Favorite shirts are the ones that people send me. I've bought my fair share of shirts in my day, but I really like the ones that people send because you know that they saw something and they thought it was worth spending money on. They thought of you. That's just that makes it's like the perfect combination.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure, and it shows you love, man. That's important.
I am all about the love. I need the love. So.
Good stuff. Well, Ben, tonight we're going to be talking about methods of transporting DJ gear, like from your vehicle to your setup area. And it looks like you've got a lot of props there in front of you tonight.
Yeah, I'm in the right spot for this. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well,
it's around to, not only transport gear, but protect the gear while it's in transit.
Cool. So Ben, with moving gear, of course, you've got a lot of things there that we want to talk about. One of the things that guys are kind of getting into is more of moving away from that old two-wheel cart that we used to use when Dad was hauling heavy things, getting into what is now becoming kind of an industry standard with a four-wheel type cart, and it looks like you've got one right there.
Yeah, well, there's obvious advantages to a four-wheel cart. This one's actually been around the country several times. It's flown with me a few times. I think there's something to be said for a man's love of his cart, certainly a cart that he trusts. The nice thing, obviously, about a four-wheel cart is you can stack on it, you can roll it on flat surfaces. Your load will stay in place if you have to stop, if you're in an elevator, those sorts of things. This particular model, it will expand, and gets a little bigger. But what's cool about this cart too, not to turn this into an infomercial, but I do just love this cart enough that, like I said, it's been around the country with me, is it can also function as a two-wheel cart. Nice. It's really kind of the best of all worlds here. But again, I think the four-wheel cart definitely is, what I would consider to be my preference, and probably the industry standard.
Sure.
The mechanism of transporting gear and protecting it while we're transporting it is, road cases with casters.
Yeah.
This obviously doesn't need a cart. It's on its own wheels, and many times we can stack things on top. So kind of a 1-2 punch, getting you safely from point A to point B, whether that's out of your warehouse, into your vehicle, out of your vehicle, into the venue, whatever that is.
Yeah, for sure. Now, you mentioned that you've flown with that one. Now, as someone who flies an awful lot, you got to kind of take me through the process. How do you handle a cart at the airport like that?
It's actually really simple. I just and usually I'll put a zip tie or something around it just to keep it folded, and then they just they put a tag on it, put a luggage tag on it, just like my other bags, and it goes underneath the plane. Holds up really well. Fares better than most of the luggage, actually.
Huh.
And it's nice. It's right there in bag claim waiting for me. Sometimes I have ATA trunks and things, or heavy Pelican cases that are going with me on the flight too. And it was interesting. One of the places that it flew with me to was college football national championship game. I worked the last 3 college football national championship games in a row, and after the first one, I vowed that the next year, if I got the gig again, which I did, I would take my own cart with. And some people kind of chuckled and snickered in the airport. And as you know, the various people of the tech entourage, the media, and the other video crews and that sort of thing, as they were making their way from the airport to the buses to the hotel, nobody was really laughing anymore because I'm rolling right along with my 110 pounds of gear, and they're struggling a little bit.
And
so.
now that's the picture we have right here, isn't that, Ben?
Yeah, I sent the picture actually from the airport.
Yep, we'll just pop it up here. So now that is your gear getting at the airport, literally.
Okay, now this next picture that you're going to see here is the same cart actually on the sidelines at the Division I College Football National Championship, and I guess this again illustrates a man's appreciation for the things that keep his back from breaking. A friend of mine works for this cart manufacturer, and we've represented them at several national trade shows, and I just thought it was a great picture. I had to take it, so I said, champions play here, and so do these carts. So anyway, there you go.
Very cool. Very cool. So yeah, that is a well-traveled cart you've got in front of you.
It's been around. It's got a few air miles on it.
Yeah. What kind of a weight now? I mean, I've seen that there's different series in the series of in this particular case, rock and roller carts, but there's different weight limits on those carts. What do they range from?
Well, I guess it depends on who you're asking. I range from like 250 to 750, and I'm just totally shooting from the hip here. But I recall a particular instance where we had about 1,400 or 1,500 pounds on a cart, all of it human. We got everybody we could fit on this cart and rolled it a little bit, and the cart rolled. We did bend the frame a little bit.
Oh my! Oh.
Yeah. That was a fun call to rock and roller. Hey, yeah, did you know your cart will hold 1,500 pounds mostly?
Mostly, almost.
They're glad nobody got hurt. That's what they were glad,
Geez, and we've shot some video with the rock and roller cart, and I think we've limited it to like 5 people just because, well, that's all we could find.
We had some good size. We had some men, that's for sure, and we had a lot of them.
Oh, cool.
I was just kind of like the sand, in the middle of that. They just kind of put me in the middle somewhere, But they had some offensive linemen on this deal.
Oh wow, very cool.
Awesome.
Now the different models have different types of tires. Now let's kind of talk about the different tires that are out there with the rock and roller carts, or really any cart, because many of the others have similar styles of tires available for them. So what are the difference between I've heard things like pneumatic and there's whatever. Kind of walk me through, would you?
Probably a good spot, I guess, to talk about some proper care and feeding of your cart and your wheels. The biggest difference in the rock and roller line is the size of the wheel. Obviously, this cart has a fairly small wheel. I got a whole collection of them here.
Can you hold that one up again, Ben, when you get a chance? Yeah, because we want to see it. It was a little low.
This one you can see has got some bigger wheels.
Okay.
So the size of the wheel is probably one of the biggest differences. But you mentioned pneumatic. Pneumatic means that there's air in it.
Okay.
And here, for example, is a rock and roller tire that you would put air in.
Gotcha.
And one of the key things about maintaining these tires, just like the tires in your car, proper inflation. If the tire is not properly inflated, it's not going to perform optimally. So it's a quick and easy thing. And, maybe not everybody has a compressor handy, but on the way to the gig, stop by a gas station. This isn't something you need to do every day, but certainly something you should make a habit of checking, with the rest of your regularly scheduled maintenance. And you all do have regularly scheduled maintenance on your gear, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's called Ben, this isn't working. Is one of your tech guys available to fix it for me?
Yeah, they're probably not here now. It's after hours, but
sometimes.
Here's the deal. A 99-cent part. Just a little tire gauge like this. Mm-hmm. $2. That's a pretty essential piece. Use it to check your trailer tires, your car tires, your rock and roller tires. If you have the old And I say old because their new tires are not pneumatic.
Oh,
If you have a hand truck that has pneumatic tires, it's just like changing the oil. It's just, again, proper care and feeding.
sure.
Other, examples. This is the new R-Track tire, they call it. Not a few years ago. It's a solid tire. It's not for highway use. Do not put your cart behind your car. But anyway, this tire, and it performs very similarly. Has enough softness, has good traction, but it will never go flat. And you don't need to check the air pressure in it because it doesn't have any.
Sure.
And then they have their more traditional casters. Like the casters in the front of this cart or the front of that cart. Again, size being one thing, and they have some brand new casters that are coming out they're ultra wide. They're basically two of the regular tires wide. They're pretty cool looking deal.
Now when would a person need a ultra wide caster?
Well, one, if you're on soft ground, increasing your surface area is going to prevent that tire from digging into that soft ground. It's going to make it easier to roll around on things like that. Sand maybe. Sand is a tough environment. And when you just want to show off.
Yeah, I'm glad we're scientific about that.
My tires are bigger than your tires. I don't know.
Now with the wider tire, would that have any negative effect in the operation of the cart?
It's maybe. Maneuverability is still pretty good. The amount of surface area on the tire, is bigger, as I said, but it's still able to swivel on the axis, so they're still pretty maneuverable. Mm-hmm. They maintain roughly the same interior footprint, or exterior footprint of the cart. There might be some drawbacks, but I can't think of anything that's really earth-shattering right now.
Gotcha. Now, if a person had a cart, a four-wheel cart, is it possible to replace wheels and such on those pretty easily, or how difficult is that?
Yeah, absolutely. Where do you think these came from? All teasing aside, that's another good point, John, and we'll look at some examples here of some other gear that I found before we started shooting. Wheels wear out. It's just like the tires on your car. It's just like the tires on your trailer. These are wear items. They wear out, and they should be inspected, maintained, and periodically replaced. Shameless plug, we stock and sell all of the Rock and Roller replacement wheels. They're readily available, and they're pretty inexpensive, and that'll keep your cart running like new. In fact, if I could throw a plug for Rock and Roller, I'm going to anyway. One of the number one complaints that we receive about Rock and Roller is people who have the 25-year-old model and they change the axle diameter. So they're still using this cart that's 20 plus years old, and they want to get replacement wheels, and the diameter of the wheel has changed, and so that's not possible. But I think that really underscores the point that, the thing that's going to wear out is the bearings inside the wheel, the casters, the wheel tread, those sorts of things are the parts that are going to wear out. And if you're taking care of those and replacing those, your cart's going to last you a long, long time.
Sure.
Unless you put 1,500 pounds on it.
That could be a problem.
That cart is still in use, by the way. We didn't break it. We just bent it a little.
So it's got this lovely smiley shape going on. Oh, very cool. You're mentioning bearings. Now, as a kid, I remember having to do some things with the bearings on a bicycle. Are there things you need to do for maintenance of those wheels then with bearings?
Yeah. Let's take a look here. If our fantastic camera op can zoom in just a little bit down here. Let's take a look at this Rock and Roller R12 down here. And what we've got here now, there are two types of bearings. Well, there's lots of different types of bearings, roller bearings and ball bearings and all those sorts of things. But
sure.
Basically, I'm gonna break it down into two types of sealed and unsealed. Sealed bearings are essentially maintenance free. They go until they wear out, and that's that. Other bearings, and I can actually see these ball bearings, and I don't think you can on the camera, but I can actually see the ball bearings. So this is obviously not sealed. This does require some lubrication, and right here on the outside we see this Zerk. It's a real name, I didn't make it up. It's grease Zerk, and we would just use some appropriate grease, maybe some all-purpose lithium grease or something, and or grease gun, and pump some grease in there, and that'll keep that friction low on those bearings, and they'll have a nice long happy life. Okay. Here's another example. This is a dolly plate, something we can basically stack things on and roll it, similar to a cart. And here we have open bearings too, but there is no grease zerk. There's no easy way to just put a grease gun on it, pump some grease in. So we have to be a little bit, to get our hands quite literally dirty, kind of to work some grease in here, and let those bearings take that grease and spread it around. If you I don't know how well it's going to show up on the mic, but you can hear some friction in there.
Yeah.
This dolly cart has picked up some dust and dirt and sand and those sorts of things, and those, I mean, they're rolling around in the ground, and you can see the wheels are dirty. This is the wheel I was going to show some wear on too.
Yeah.
It's, again, short of taking this apart, which you can't. It might be very difficult to get that sand and stuff out of there, but a good cleaning as best you can is definitely going to help. You could maybe flush some of it out with some liquid lubricant. Just wipe it down. Try to get as much of that sand in the ointment, so to speak, out of there, because that's going to certainly substantially increase your wear, and they're not going to perform right as they're not able to turn and things, and they hit that sand.
Gotcha.
So keeping the gear clean is really important. This is I'm going to just jump from cleaning to the wheel here, and you'll notice these wheels have some dirt and sand and dust and stuff on them.
Yep.
This is just a thought, not only for the care of your equipment, but if I want to roll this into a place that has a nice, beautiful floor, or maybe a gymnasium, something like that, we got to be careful. If we're carrying rocks and stuff, we can cause damage to their floor, some pretty nasty scratches. So that's something, we're not talking about carts here now, but what our cart could do to damage things around it. That's a good thing to be aware of.
Yeah, for
Keep
sure.
wheels clean, wipe them down, or whatnot. So
Good point. So now, Ben, we've looked at the cleaning in the wheels in a little bit now. Now, when it gets to the point of actually doing some work on it and say changing those wheels, it looks like now, if I'm not mistaken, well, let me throw this picture up. It seems to me that you've got a new staff member who's doing some work on some carts here.
Well, your picture is actually a few years old, but you can't start them too young. Years ago, I don't even remember how old he was at that point. But I had to come down to the shop on a Saturday and trying to balance my travel schedule with my family and my customers, and just trying to seek balance and all that. I brought him down to the shop to help him out. And he's a very energetic guy and wants to keep busy. So I gave him a socket that was about 2 sizes too big for the bolt. Let him go to work on it. He wasn't able to, turn anything, of course, but he was happy as a clam, and he was helping Dad service carts. And
yeah, that's a good thing.
He's quite a bit bigger, and he's increasingly more useful. I have him doing some of this stuff for real.
Oh, cute picture. But as he was trying to do, what Dad didn't give him the right tools, was to change a tire. So if we wanted to change one of the rear wheels or a wheel on that, can you kind of walk us through what's involved with that?
Yeah, it's going to depend on your cart. Obviously, depends on how the wheel is attached. In the case of a rock and roller, we'll start with the front casters real quick here. We take a look at this front caster. It's just a nut here, and this is kind of a good throw this in. You should always use either a lock nut or a lock washer. Here we have a split lock washer on here. These things are moving around and vibration and that sort of thing, and we want them to stay put until we take them off. So always use a lock washer. Rock and rollers casters come with one, so that's a bonus. But anyway, that's all I would need to do is spin this nut off and put the new caster in. This is the wrong size, but you get the idea. Yeah. Tighten that nut down, and I'm off to the races. Before I demonstrate the rear wheel on an R12, I'll say it's my opinion. You should have some of these on hand. As quick as we can get one out the door to you, that's quick, but it's not going to help you that night when that wheel breaks at the wrong time. And again, I know it's frustrating, but these are just like any other wear part. They wear, they break, they need to be replaced. So I would recommend having a front caster and a rear caster on hand. It's you're probably looking at less than $20.
Yeah.
And, the stress it'll save you at the time is well worth that $20.
Oh yes.
It's very quick and easy to change. Here's a rear wheel. These are even a bit simpler. There's just a there's a cotter pin here. We'd squeeze that together, pull it out, slide the wheel off the axle, slide the new wheel on the axle, reinsert the cotter pin or a new cotter pin, and bend it out, and that's it. You're all set. The bearings are contained within the wheel. They've got roller bearings inside here. Whee! And there's that. This is something fairly new that Rock and Roller just came out with too. It's kind of a little, just a little TLC kit.
Okay.
It's replacement, spring tighteners. It's got replacement bushings for the axle. It's got some of the pins. I don't even know what these cost, but it can't be very much. And I guess I'd recommend having one of those on hand too. If you have a Rock and Roller cart.
Exactly.
And that's
I've lost some pieces on mine. As you're using it, things happen.
You need one of these.
Yeah, for sure. And I should call Stacy and get her to send one out.
Good. And like this one here, I just noticed is missing an end cap, and there's end caps inside here. This card here, by the way, belongs to our install team, and they don't know I have it. I was just kind of grabbing things to put together tonight. Maybe I'll just be like the cart elf and put a piece on it tonight for them, and it'll be there in the morning.
So now, Ben, we talked about the carts a little bit. Now, around you, I'm seeing these huge road cases. Now, when we come to the care and maintenance and even the caster, is there a difference as we're going around?
Yeah, there's definitely a difference in casters, and it's definitely a case of get what you pay for. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I have casters of all different flavors and grades, but what you typically see on a DJ case is different from what you typically see on tour. There's a good reason why. A tour case is carrying generally a heavier load, and it's being handled nightly. These cases are maybe doing 200 plus shows a year. They're rolling down the highway in semis and being loaded and unloaded by a local crew. And anyway, there's nothing wrong with the DJ having a more economical caster, because what they're doing is fairly light duty. They're rolling it out of their shop or their house or their garage into their trailer or their van or their car and into the gig, and that's most of what happens to that. And they're typically light cases because you typically have one or two guys or gals unloading these cases. You don't have forklifts.
Sure.
So there's a whole difference, but because of which there's that food chain of casters, and they all need maintenance. They all need proper care and feeding. They're just designed, some are more industrial strength than others. The casters that we looked at here are fairly light duty, and they've certainly sufficed. Let's take a look at this guy here. I don't know how well you can see, but it's got some chunks missing. It's got some, pieces taken out of it. A little bit of wear, but it's still going to roll down the road and do its job.
Yep.
Some of the most important things we can do to keep our casters on the road are to make sure that they're firmly attached, to make sure that the platform is not warped in any way where they're mounted. If the caster, is on a bent frame or a cracked road case or something, and so it's operating a little bit, tilted to one side, it's going to create abnormal wear. It's going to create a lot of strain on the axis of the swivel and places it wasn't designed to take that, wear and tear. Down here, if we can pan down just a little bit, this caster here has a broken brake. And it's time for that caster to be replaced. That's no longer doing the job.
Sure.
It happens, but. Again, preventing abuse, is a good way to keep them from getting broken. I'm not sure what the story is and how that got broken. Usually you don't know. They just show up and they don't work. Nobody saw anything, No.
We have no idea.
And here we go. I got a little Tin Man oil can here too. So
Nice. The cases behind you now. What kind of a weight, just to give us a perspective, what kind of a weight capacity would some of those cases have?
Well, here again, it depends on the case and the casters. We have some cable trunks for some of the touring line array systems that are easily holding 1,000 pounds of cable in them. You got a lot of 100-foot lengths of 13/8, speaker cable, stuff like that. It's going to add up fast. So it really depends. But the construction of the case is going to vary too. You could go from 1/4 inch to 3/8 inch, 1/2 inch laminate. Kind of everything scales up, and again, those casters have to go up with that.
So now you're in the warehouse there, and I see that these are stacked too high. And that one, as you were sitting on your left, was incredibly big. How many of those do you make Cat stack?
Actually, true story. Cat did stack this case with the help. This case here actually is property of our marketing department, and it goes to trade shows and that sort of thing. So, Cat actually did stack that case.
Oh, so you made her haul that heavy thing around all the time.
She's threatened repeatedly that will be my coffin someday.
Oh, that's
what?
Crazy.
I think my wife and Kat are kind of in together. So, viewers, if one day I'm just not on the air anymore,
exactly.
Look in there.
Look in that case. Oh, very good, very good. Some good information about carts and casters and things we need for hauling our gear around.
I'll recap it for you too. Keep it clean, inspect it regularly, replace defects, tighten bolts. And the stitch in time saves 9 sort of thing. It goes a long way. If you catch these little minor things and you do some preventative maintenance, your gear will last a long time.
Yeah. Great stuff. Put the little thing on the bottom there. So if you've got any questions for Ben, or you've got some thoughts on a show, go to Twitter and you can use the @ NLFXBen, or you can do the hashtag NLFXBen. Send him a question, send him a thought, send him a shirt that you'd like to see him wear in one of our upcoming shows.
Send me something I can get put in a box with. No.
No. We're going to keep away from that. That's a bad idea. Well, Ben, thank you very much. Another great show tonight with some good information.
Thanks, John.
This is John Young with the Disc Jockey News and Disc Jockey News TV. Good night.